What does that mean? I mean, you guys are not even making the effort to open Google and look for it. Let's see how long does it take. Well, okay, so again, you can see results here. Okay, so protected can be accessed inside the class. And what does this mean? Which would be which ones? Yeah, but there's a word there. In
Instance.
no.
When you use heresy.
Okay, the children classes, those that inherit from it. In public is access. I think it is. It's actually within. Well, we're not going to get into that. Okay, so here we're going to create our attributes as private. And we're going to define two attributes, the ID and the description. Now, normally C# is not required, but it's suggested that attributes start with an underscore. Okay. And now we're going to create the getters and setters, but again, they're not getters and setters because this is C#. So they're called properties. So we're going to create the properties, which as you'll see, they look like getters and setters. They're just a little bit different. So what we're going to do is we're going to right click on a property, on an attribute, and then go to quick actions and refactoring. And we're going to select encapsulate field. Now this doesn't really matter because as you can see, they're already private, but this would actually change it. This one would change it to public. If it were public, it would change it to private, but it's still showing you that's going to do the same thing. Okay, no, doesn't matter which one. But we're actually going to use only property and use property, not field. So as you can see, we're going to do the same for the other one. Quick actions, refactoring, encapsulate field. Now, if you're already familiar, or you should be familiar with the concept of encapsulation, so we're not going to do it here. And we're going to create it. Now, I want these two inside the properties area. Okay, so as you can see here, we have the get, which if we try to read the property ID, is just going to return the value of the ID. And set, whatever value we send is going to return, is going to send it to the attribute. So it's the same, getter and setter. If we were to take out the set, that would mean that the attribute would be read-only. We could read ID, but we cannot set the value for ID. Okay. Okay, so it's again, it's basically like a getter and setter, but it's a little bit different. It's not a method. Okay, got it?
Is the same thing if in the properties, when I did this, it says something like system dot string.
Well, it shouldn't, because since we were using system up here, the namespace, you don't have to put it here. So if it's up here, you can actually erase it from down here.
All right.
It's kind of like in Java, when you import a package, you don't have to write down the package down there. So you have these two? We're good? Okay. You don't answer, so I'm going to collapse both of them. I'm not erasing them, I'm just collapsing them. And I'm going to work on the constructor. So we're going to have three constructors, like we always have. Constructors are public. In the case of C#, the name of the constructor is the same as the name of the class. And so is Java and C++. And here, what we're going to do is we're going to put 3 dashes. This creates a comment system. And the reason we do this is because when we say do this, and we see what the method does, for instance, write, it tells us what it does. Writes the text representation of specific objects, et cetera, et cetera. And so we want this to be shown when we do this. So when we select, when we're in our code and we say brand, et cetera, it's going to show us, okay, creates an empty object. So it's going to do the same thing that it's doing here. Okay. So we're going to create 3 methods. This one, we're going to simulate that we get the information from the database. So we're not getting it from the database. And okay, something like that. Okay, so we're supposed to get it from the database. Again, 3 dashes. And here it asks what the parameter ID is. So we're going to say brand ID. And the last one is the one that receives all of them. And again, it says, as for an ID, into brand ID, brand description. Ah. So we have our three constructors. Make sure you have them. Got it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna explain what a constructor is or overloading, anything like that. That's from second semester. Okay, so we have the constructors. We're not gonna create any instance method right now. We're just gonna create our class method that's gonna return a list of brands. So again, they should come from the database, but we're not doing that right now. So again, it's gonna be a static method, we know that. In this case, we're gonna return a list. So this, in C# is a list of brand objects. And we're gonna declare the list. And eventually we're gonna return the list. So the same thing we were doing in PHP, we're just doing it here in C# with a little different naming, different code. So we should get them from the database, but again, we're simulating right now. So we say list.add new brand, and we're gonna say NK, Nike. Let's try to put them in order. So we're gonna have three. Got it?
Yep.
Okay, so now we have our model, assuming that eventually we connect it to the database, this constructor here, and this constructor here. But I'm sorry, this method here. But for now, we have our method, our model. So we're gonna go now to something that we called a view model. A view model is when you want to show, let's say you have a dashboard and you're going to have lists from different places and information from different objects. You don't want to return the exact same object. You want to set it up so in another model so you can return this exact JSON structure that you want. You'll probably understand it a little bit better when I do this. Okay. So we're gonna create a folder called view models. We're gonna click here, right click, add folder, new folder. We're gonna call it view models. Okay, and we're gonna create one. It's gonna be add. We're actually gonna create another folder, brands. And then in there, we're gonna create two new models, which are actually just classes. We're gonna create brand view model, and we're gonna create not a folder. I don't want this. We call it brand list view model. Okay, and we're going to create another model, view model. Called JSON view model. In JSON view model, again, we're going to take out the namespace, and we're just going to add one property. We're not going to do attributes and properties. Just this is just so what we're going to show. So it's going to be public integer status, and we're going to do something simpler for getter and setter, which is just this, get and set. So that means that status can be read and status can be assigned. And we actually can do this as an abstract class. Okay, got it? Yes, no. Again, I'm not going to get too much into this, but we know what an abstract class is, or we should know what an abstract class is. We've done it many times. It is a class that you only use as a parent, but you cannot create an object as a JSON view model. You cannot create an object of this class. You can only use it as a parent. We've seen this, all of this. And actually, you've seen all of this since second semester. So we're gonna start with the brand list view model. So again, we're gonna take out the namespace. And we're going to inherit from JSON view model. So we know it has a status. And the other thing it's gonna have is a list of brands. Again, get and set. Okay? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, now the brand view model is going to be very similar, but it's not going to be a list. It's just going to be one brand. Got it? Yes or no?
Right, yes.
Okay, so we're done with the view models. Now what we're going to do is the controllers. Now remember, the router and all of that is already set on Visual Studio. So we're just going to do the routers. I'm sorry, the controllers. So we're going to go to the controllers and add controller. Okay. So we're going to select controller and we're going to select web API 2 controller with read write actions. Remember the actions we normally use 5: get all, get one, get all, post, put, and delete. Those are the 5 actions that we use. Okay. So read and write actions are going to be those 5. So we're going to select web API controller with read and write actions. And we're going to call it brand controller. Just as we did in PHP, in the URL, we're just going to access brand and this not controller, just brand. It's creating the controller. Just created the get. Interesting. Okay, well, it doesn't matter. We're just going to use get and get all, but not like this. So we could create it. I don't know why I created it that way. We can create it as an empty controller, so we can write everything. Because actually what it did is not gonna mean anything. We're gonna leave the namespace here in this one. We're not going to move the controller, it's just the classes. Let's create the controller. It already has the controller. What's wrong with this thing? Where am I? There we go. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna have 4 actions. Get, well, it's not called get and get all. It's just get with an ID and get without ID. So we're gonna return an HTTP response message. Response message. There are, if you read documentation, there are going to be a lot of different ways to return this. The one I found, which is better for me, is the return message. So this is going to be the get all. We don't actually need to do this in this case because it's we're not going to invoke it anyway. This method is invoked by the controller. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an object of the view model. In this case, is the get all, because we know it's get all because we don't have a method here, an argument. So it's going to be what was it? Brand this view model, and we're just going to call it VM for view model. Now, it's very important to know that .NET, ASP.NET requires that methods have the prefix get should be an action. So it should be get, post, put, or delete. So if you're going to add a new brand, it should be post new brand or post brand or whatever you want. Okay, but it should be start with get or post. And actually, there are directives here that you can add to tell what type of method this is, if it's a get or post or whatever. But we normally only use those for methods that are not the top 5. Okay, if they're the top 5, the get or post or put or delete, we don't have to do that. If there are specific methods, then we do have to do that. But we'll do those later on. So now we have a view model. And we say view model dot status. Remember, since view model is a brand list view model and it inherits from JSON view model, it has a status. So we're going to say status equals 0. And VM dot brands is going to be equals brand, and we're going to access the data from the database. Get all the brands. This one, remember, is everything is okay. That's our status. Okay. So we already populated the status property and the brands property. Now we're going to return it. So we're going to return request dot create response. And the code, and remember the code is this part here. Let me see if Postman wants to work today. I'm frozen. Oh, there we go. So the post is actually the code that we're gonna return. We want this, okay. Okay. So we want to return, okay, we can return other things, but the one we want to return is okay. So HTTP status code, status code. As you can see, we can have bad request, forbidden, not found, which would be 404. It can actually tell you, sorry. It will tell you what code is going to return, 202. It's forbidden, it's 403. Found should be, again, 302. Not found should be 404. And the one we want is okay, which is 200, which is what we normally use. And there are many. Okay. Request timeout. So the one we want is okay. And then we're going to return the whatever it is that we're going to return. So it's going to be VM. Okay, got it? Yes or no? Yes, no. Okay, that's it. Let's execute it and see what happens. Now it's normally going to create a server. Is going to add a new tab to your browser. I'm just trying to see, since I have two browsers open, I'm looking at where is it adding it, here or here. Oh, there's an error list. Error list? Let's do it a second. Okay, it's adding it here. And it's going to tell you that your server is running, and it's going to give you an unique I forgot the name. A port number. So mine is 52337, but yours will change. So I'm going to create a new request. Let's see which one's faster. Okay, ASP was faster. So it's telling me here that my server is running. Okay, and here, if you click on API, you're gonna see all your APIs. Obviously, we don't have documentation on it, but you're gonna see which APIs you have and which URLs you should use for those APIs. Okay, so the one we have is not this one. This is for values. We want the brands. So this is the URL API/brand. Okay, remember the controller is called brand controller. So it's just going to be brand. And all of them are in API. So if PH Postman wants to wake up one of these days, this is for a project I'm doing. Sometime today, What's the matter with Postman? Wake up. Now what did I do? What's up? What was that? Okay. Did it work for you guys? Yes, no.
It is still loading.
Did it work or not?
Professor, can I take a look to the brown view model, or and
Really? One line of code?
I think I had I'm not sure if I have a problem there.
There's the extremely hard code.
Thanks. All right, thanks.
You're welcome. Did it work?
Yes.
How about the rest of you?
I got it.
Okay,
I got it.
that's 3 of you. I'm hoping that's 4. How about the rest?
Yeah, it works.
Okay, waiting for the rest of you. Just testing something until you finish. I think I need to restart my computer one of these days. Okay, give me a second. Give me a second here. I moved something here. Okay, while we're here, we're gonna do the other one. So the get one. So we're gonna go to the controller again. Oh, we need to stop it. Gonna be very similar. Actually, kind of similar. So, ah. So we're gonna ask for the ID. And we're not gonna use the brand list view model. We're just gonna use the brand view model. And we're simulating that we getting the brand. Oh. I think that's it. So let's run it again. Let's see if it's running. It's gonna create a whole bunch of pages, so you better start closing some. So it is that one there. And to test it, we're just gonna do whatever ID we want to send. Doesn't really matter because we're not getting it from the database. And we're getting our information here. Give me a second, please. Okay, did it work? Anybody?
It worked.
Okay, what I want you to do now is, I want you guys to pay attention. You're gonna do a little application in JavaScript with a fetch that's gonna get the brands. So you have your URL there, so you're able to get all the brands here. Now, you're not gonna be able to do it. You're gonna get an error message specifying course. Okay, a course error, course. Which again, remember, it stands for cross origin resource sharing. And remember in PHP, we solved that with the header what was it? I forgot. Let me, now my mind is not the same. Just give me a second here. Oh, I remember. Something happened to my mind. Remember, we used to solve it with this in PHP. Okay? In .NET, I want you to solve it. You're gonna have to investigate and see how we solve this problem. Okay?
Okay, Professor.
You understand what the problem is gonna be. You're gonna try to get this API here, and you're not gonna be able to because you're gonna get a course error, 505. Okay? So you're gonna have to solve that part. And you're gonna have to do a little bit of research.
All right, so we just have to fix the problem of the course, right?
Just, yes.
All right.
If you want to classify it as yes, as just that, yeah, just that.
Well, we are gonna try.
Don't try, do it. It has to work. Okay, so remember right here, we have in PHP, we have this. If we don't have this access control allow origin, you cannot access that resource because it's not being shared. In our case, we are sharing it, but in ASP.NET, we have to actually specify how to share it. And that's something that I want you guys to investigate, okay? So have fun. And we're gonna leave it here, and next class, I want you to solve this problem, okay?
All right.
Okay, so see you next class. But fix this. I don't want you to tell me, I couldn't find it. Fix it, okay? Got it?
Got it. Got it.
Okay, see you, what is it, Friday, right?
Yep.
Okay, see you Friday.
You.